When it comes to our business and personal relationships, I think there is a lot of problems that nice people can have that are solved by being more assertive. Nice people are great and they're likable. At least they're fun to be around. Well, for the most part. They make you feel better about yourself. But being nice alone just isn't enough. Nice people also lie. I know it's a tough and harsh lesson. They tell you nice things that aren't true because they don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't say things to you that they should because they might not want to rock the boat, they might not want to upset you, they might just not want to say something mean. Many of their actions are guided by self-interest. By that I mean that their niceness has more to do with what others think about them, primarily that they're concerned that other people will like them, for example. That it has more to do with that than genuine concern, care, interest in the other person. You know, being able to be assertive is hard. There's a big difference between being nice and kind, for example. I was talking to my best mate from university the other day, and we were talking about how there is a huge difference between being nice and being kind. Nice is telling somebody something that they want to hear. Oh, your hair looks lovely today. Thank you. Oh, I like the outfit you're wearing. Again, thanks. This is my favourite t-shirt. But nice isn't being kind. Sometimes you have to deliver kind words in a harsh manner. And what's that saying? It's saying you need to learn the harsh realities of truth sometimes. So saying, look, unfortunately, the friend that you're hanging with just isn't in your best interest. They're talking about you behind their back. They're saying things that are not good for you. Being kind is delivering the harsh truths of reality. But if you are afraid of being assertive, or it just doesn't come naturally, it tends to show in terms of when it's time to speak up, people don't. You might think that friends are not respecting boundaries, or that you think a company is giving bad service, for example, if you've gone to grab coffee. This can often manifest itself in kicking ourselves a bit later. You know, you end up in this, what they call a bit of a double bind, because you don't want to speak up because you feel like you're going to be a bit of a dick in doing so. But also, if you do speak up, somebody else might think that you're being a bit of a dick as well. So where do you end up? The healthier kind of mindset and mental health approach is to be a bit more assertive. Now, being assertive is much easier said than done, and some of us find it more natural than others. If you don't like conflict, the chances are that you're not going to enjoy being more assertive. But it is important, and that's why I want to give you the 8 tips on how to be assertive without being a douchebag. Now, firstly, number 1, know yourself. Understand what your own needs are. Have you actually sat back and said, okay, what is it that I want? If you are talking to somebody else, do you know what the boundaries are that you're talking to? Not boundaries in terms of physical boundaries, but in terms of what you're comfortable talking to them about. If you start verging over into somebody else's boundary, it could be personal space, it could be over a topic that somebody's uncomfortable with, don't get upset. Getting upset is a natural reaction, but if you can't articulate your own needs in the most appropriate way, do you know what the trigger is that's causing this feeling of upset or some emotional turmoil? Just thinking about it at the moment now, I am really hot on people being rude. It really makes my blood boil. I know what a trigger is in terms of making me feel that way. So when I see somebody else that's treating somebody in a rude manner, I desperately want to do something about it. I could give feedback to that person or stand in between the person, either physically or mentally, that is giving that person a hard time or being rude. I just don't believe there is any place for rudeness in society. Now, I know that that's a trigger for me, and that enables me to be more assertive, because if I feel like somebody's been taken advantage or is being rude to me, certainly I will very much stand up for myself. But what are the triggers for you? What is it that makes your blood boil? Are you able to identify those elements and actions that cause you to become more assertive? Have a think about them. Write them down, and then when you find yourself in that situation again, look at the situation and try and understand where the other person is coming from. Number 2 is about backing yourself. Be confident if you believe that what you're asking for is fair and reasonable. Like the Latvian police, harsh but fair. But don't be afraid to back yourself, especially when you think that what you're asking for and the needs are valid. If I think about it from a work perspective, not so long ago I needed to go on holiday, and there was a member of the team that was supporting me. All of a sudden you get this very unreasonable request to take over a project because somebody else is going away. Now, there's a good way and a bad way about going about it, but if you just get dumped on, the chances are that you just think, oh man, why do I have to deal with that? It's difficult to be assertive when you feel like you're under pressure and you're being backed into a corner, but the way to deal with these things is to kill them with kindness. Why not write back with a very reasonable request? It's very difficult for people to disagree or deny what is a very reasonable ask. Could you use the example of saying, I'm more than happy to help out, and this could be taking over somebody's shift or helping with childcare, but I need advance warning. I need to be able to plan my workload, my life, and it's difficult to do so if you don't give me advance warning. And if you do it in the right manner, it's really difficult for somebody to disagree with you when your ask is fair and reasonable. Number 3 is about be the Hoff. No, not David Hasselhoff, more Iceman Wim Hof. He is an amazing individual who has done some incredible feats to do with the cold, whether it be getting to Everest Base Camp in nothing but a pair of trainers and a pair of shorts. I mean, that's nuts. Sitting in ice cold water for minutes on end. I actually don't know how long it is. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted with it. Or the Wim Hof breathing method, which you should definitely check out, and I'll put a link in the description below. But the whole point about being the Hoff is to keep your delivery calm. Keeping your cool is critical, especially when you need to be more assertive. It's easy to become more emotional, and if you do become more emotional, it's likely to backfire and ultimately detract away from your assertive, reasonable ask. Now, I've often talked about in the past, I worked for a COO who loved emotional conflict because he used to say, I fight feelings with fact. And by doing that, he would take a very, very sensible and objective approach to somebody that was getting all very excited. He would just remain calm, and he would talk to the person and say, okay, so show me where that number comes from. What are the assumptions and the facts that you base this on? If it didn't exist, the other person might get very emotional, but he just sat there and said, if you can't prove it to me, how do I know that it's right? That's fair. The other part to bear in mind in that is when you want to become more assertive, you need to think about your delivery method, i.e. your communication. If you tell and rebel, the other person is more likely to mirror your behavior and become more agitated, might put their proverbial back up, become angry, or just shut down and switch off. I'm very aware that sometimes if I don't agree with what somebody's saying, it's easy just to switch off and start thinking about something else. But that is rude, and that then creates a bit of a trigger for me because I don't like being rude, so I've been working really hard on that. And one way to make sure that you don't come across as aggravating somebody else is to use a friendly volume. I've heard it used in the past as saying, why not use your late night radio presenter voice? Many people will say that I sound like William Hague, although I think it's more Jonathan Agnew. But either way, put on a voice which is calming and comforting, but also allows you to be rather firm but fair, because that is ultimately what being assertive is all about. Number 4 is around Dorothy's red shoes. Yes, that is a Wizard of Oz reference, and it's all about putting yourself in their shoes or seeing the other person's point of view. You can get better communication when you know what others want. If you can find a bit of a win-win situation, it generates genuine empathy with the other person, and also it helps you find out what their true motivations are. I often talk about it at work where we say either we will all succeed or we will all fail. It's a very cheesy phrase, but ultimately it explains that the work that we need to do is for all of us, and by explaining how I will take the blame if it goes wrong and we will succeed collectively if we get it right, it is a really powerful way of doing it because they understand what I'm trying to achieve, but also I know the amount of work that they're going through. So as you're trying to be more assertive, you need to explain and understand their motivations. Once you understand where they're coming from, it's easier to do so. Number 5 is all about going full Yogi. So that's around being flexible. To be more assertive, a great way to do that is to provide options. So don't be overly rigid or get super angry. Instead, provide some options. Why not make these options in line with your needs and boundaries, or so you're not suggesting anything that you fundamentally don't agree with? In terms of project deliverables, the example I can give you is that if we're being asked to deliver something, we can use the old project management triangle of good, fast, or cheap. If people want all three, we just can't deliver that. So then, instead of just getting very cross and very agitated, I can be assertive by saying, well, we can slim down what we're doing and give you good and fast, but it might not necessarily be cheap. Alternatively, if you want something fast, it might be cheap, but then again, it might not be good. So you don't just want to go, you can't have it. Here are some options. It enables you to be assertive without picking on the other person. Number 6 is all around make yourself the focus. So in much the same way that you want to try and soften the blow and avoid broad generalizations, if you say, actually, I'm going to be the scapegoat in this, then it takes the focus away from the actual situation that you're in. If you could do that in a very matter-of-fact kind of way, it really helps focus on the situation and not finger pointing at the other person. One way to do this is to use the right language, a bit softer, and you can say, I feel, or in my view, or in my past experience, or something I've tried in the past is, or may I suggest. Those are different types of provocating the right conversation where we are looking at the situation and not focusing on the person. Number 7 is about being on repeat, not in the old school way where you would have your CD or your Sony Walkman and you would just press the repeat button, although those were great days. This is around repeating your request over and over again, but remaining super calm. Remember that. Stay calm. So if you are asking for something or you're trying to be assertive, just keep reiterating it. Give an example, make the same request in a different way, but adding more information as you go. You need to make sure that your narrative is a request, not a comment. So you're not just going, your service was shit. Well, how does that help? All that's going to do is actually piss somebody off. Rather say, well, the service I received wasn't great, but it would be great if you could give us a discount to reflect the standard of service that we received. Again, it shouldn't be personal, it should be based on the situation, but it does need to be a calm, persistent, repeated ask. Don't get brought into the emotional elements of it. Don't let your blood boil. Take a step back, take a moment, keep repeating your ask in the most appropriate manner, and I promise you, it will make a big difference. Number 8 is all around having a power pose. Now, this refers to Amy Cuddy, who talks about it in her TED Talk around holding a powerful pose can help you be more assertive. I mean, in short, power poses work because they signal to others that we are confident, strong, powerful, and in charge. When even we might not feel like it at first, perception is reality. So the next time that you are in a situation where you want to be more assertive, why not stand up? Why not hold a particular pose? Why not try and do something different? Why not remain calm and focus on what you're asking for? Provide options, provide different scenarios. Give the other person the chance to put their point of view across, but remember, remain calm. You don't have to scream and shout to get what you want, but also you don't have to be a complete douchebag to be assertive. So let me know what you thought in the comments. As always, I love hearing from you. If you liked the video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. You can subscribe to the channel by hitting about here. And also, if you want to watch another one of my videos, I would recommend the 8 Secrets to Great Leadership, which you could do by clicking here. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next video. With that, have a great day. Cheers.